Well, good morning to all of you. We are ready to start. Hope you can hear me. Can I get a feedback? Do you hear? Someone, if you can support me by giving a feedback.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. So we start our topic. Our subject is meditation this time. Here we discuss techniques of organizing our thoughts, which is coming up in the form of what we call mind engineering now. So in future, it may be known by that name. Actually, it is a kind of thought process engineering. We are trying to change our thought process in a particular manner, which will be suitable for our happiness and generally achievements. So in this course, it's a short course actually, although we have 4-hour slots. We have to finish within 6 weeks. Therefore, we will be covering fair amount of theory part as well. And along the course, we will be doing practical sessions. I will give you an outline of what we are going to do now. So the objective of the university having this course in your curriculum is that, first of all, we all want you to be a happy person and also a successful professional. So there are certain life skills needed for happiness and for professional success. And meditation has been identified as one such life skill, which will empower you in a way that you can change your thought process whenever it goes in wrong directions. And also you will be able to generate inner happiness from within in abundance. And also you can target your thought process in the direction of generating happiness, calmness, and also wisdom finally. Let me first give you an idea of what you would be able to do at the end of the course. Usually meditation courses are like conducted in long durations in small chunks. But since it is a short semester, 6B, we will be doing it fairly fast. So little unfortunate there, because if we had more time, we could have done it slowly, which would be better, especially for meditations. Right, you can read this. So some basic concepts of meditation we will cover, and you can use those skills of mindfulness. There is a set of meditations known as mindfulness meditations, which we'll be covering, and also a set of meditations which help you to relax and also improve concentration, and the memory. And finally, you can use this skill for managing the stress. Well, if any stressful times come, which is fairly common in anyone's life. So for managing such situations, also you can use the skills that you can acquire from this course. The chat is open if any of you would like to ask questions, which I would like if you join that way. Use the chat if you prefer, or use the voice. Voice may be easier, but in case you prefer the chat, just jot down the ideas in the chat. Okay, then few words about the assessments. We will be having quizzes. This is 100% CA subject, continuous assessment. We will be having short quizzes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes quizzes. As we go on, I will announce the times and put the quizzes on the Moodle, and appropriate times I will announce that. There will be altogether 6 or 7 quizzes, out of which you can leave out 2 quizzes. And 5 quizzes will be counted. Then there will be practical assessments, which I will later, we will have a method, I will discuss that with you when the time comes. These are guided meditations which you can do yourself. This time we have to monitor and give marks remotely. So you might need to use the camera at those times. Anyway, I will highlight that later. Then there is weekly reporting of self-meditation practice. Which will be in the Moodle. In short para, you can report personally what you have done, what activities you did in meditation. Right? Again, I will be giving more ideas later about that. Finally, there will be a reflective report at the end of the course or assignment. Basically, a report on the meditation practice. So these are the 4 modes of assessment we will use during our course. More about that, I will give you the details at the correct times. Any questions regarding this? Okay, maybe later you can ask. Right, we will move on then to introduction part. Well, I would like to know whether you can see my cursor. Do you see the arrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So in the introduction, I will present how these meditation techniques could be important in our life. This time, especially in this subject, you can think of your whole life actually, not as a student, but as a person. We will think of the whole life. We know that life is a lot of relationships. If you reflect on your relationships with the others means maybe your parents, batchmates, teachers, friends, think of them, you can easily see that these relationships are intertwined and complicated as well. Each relationship is about give and take, and proper understanding of the responsibilities is required. So here the picture is showing that the activities are intertwined between people. If this is you, you will be related to many, one-to-many relationships. Each relationship requires you to play a role, which is known as a role play. For example, suppose you are the child in the family. When you are at home, you play the child role. Suppose you are the father, you have to play the father role. And maybe in the university, you have to play the student role. In the job, the engineer's professional engineer role. Likewise, we might need to switch. We might need to switch our mode of thinking to suit the particular role that is required to play at that time. So the whole life is role play in that sense. Almost every day, we have to effectively switch between different roles. Let me divide the roles that we have to play into 4 broad categories. There will be more categories if you want to subdivide, but let me introduce the 4 main roles. The first one we call citizen role. As a citizen of the country, you have certain rights and you have certain responsibilities. Details I will give you in a moment. So citizen is one particular role you have to play in general. Then comes the professional role where as an electronic engineer or telecom engineer or biomedical engineer, you are expected to play that professional role. Then as a family member, certain responsibilities are there. Then as an individual, as a person, personal responsibilities towards yourself are there. Each role is different, you can see, isn't it? Very different, which means each role demands a different set of capabilities. Skill set you require to play each role well is different. Same skills you can't use for another role. By the way, are you familiar with the skills you need to be effective at each of these levels? To play the family member role, what skills are required? To play the professional role, what skills are required? Are you familiar? Have you thought of? Our meditation part is mainly related with this, although it overflows to the other roles. Let me consider one by one. Let's take them one by one. The citizen role, where you are a member of the society and a respectable citizen. You are also playing a role as a human there and contributing to the well-being of the society or the mankind in general. But we know there are good citizens, bad citizens, average citizens, so many categories, isn't it? So person has to think of what are the social responsibilities to fulfill as a citizen, which I'm not going to talk about much, but you know that you have to obey certain rules when you are out there in the street or as in general in public. There are laws which should be adhered to. So all that, learning all that is done in order to play the citizen role well. Think of yourself, are you playing the citizen role well? Have you learned all the laws of the country and learned the social responsibilities? So that is one side you will have to develop as the life goes by. Maybe you are partially aware at the moment. Maybe you have not consciously focused on that yet, but there will be. You will feel the necessity to understand the citizen's role very well as the life unfolds. Then the second role as an engineer, which is a profession you have chosen. And the professional role, you need certain skill set, of course. That's why you are in the university. So over the 4 years, the university expects to transfer as much skills as possible to play you this professional role very well. So I will not talk very much about that. All the subjects you learn and all the interactions with the others, teachers, labs, everything is targeted to transfer that skill set to you. Okay, so that is clear, I think. What is the third level? Third role that you need to be conscious about and develop carefully. The family member role, where you can use these professional skills there very much. The role as a loved family member. What are the responsibilities? And you know the skills you learn in the university, you might not be able to apply there. If you try to apply too much of them, it may be disaster. So right now you might be playing the role of the child, the child in the family. So you know what it is. I hope you are playing that role very well. You have learned the skills, I think. And maybe later you will play the role of father or mother. Towards the end of your life, you might be playing the role of grandfather, grandma. Are you ready and are you aware what those roles are and what skill sets are required at those times? Maybe it's too early to think, isn't it? Well, that's what people think, but it's never too early to generate awareness and also keep collecting the capabilities or the skills required to play those roles well. Otherwise, when the time comes to play a particular family member role, you might fail there, and we don't want that. Therefore, it's better to generate awareness right now while you are still studying in the university. Well, what will be the fourth level? Now we discussed 3: citizen role, professional role, family member role. The fourth one, which is the most important in our case here, is the individual role. as an individual. You know, each one of us have our own personality, which is developed over a period of time. So you are considered to be a traveler in the journey of, well, maybe this life or maybe multiple lives according to certain beliefs. And you travel alone, actually. Then what is my purpose here in this life? That kind of questions. What are the self-responsibilities I have towards myself? One thing could be, okay, you have the responsibility towards yourself to be happy and contented. And according to the Maslow's triangle, which you might have studied under management, you might remember that triangle, which has the human needs divided into 5 layers. The topmost layer is called self-actualization, where as the life goes to the age of, say, 40, 50, then the person will have certain needs and will be seeking answers for this kind of questions. Who am I? What do I really want from this life? That kind of questions will be coming up from your mind. Maybe not right now as a student, because you are busy with a lot of other plans. But once you achieve your goals in those plans, of course, naturally, these questions will arise. And that role as an individual or as a person is very important. Then, in summary, what I have just said is that there are 4 main roles, which need different responsibilities and different expectations by the others. Okay? And different behavioral patterns are expected, meaning that each role needs a different skill set from you. And if you have achieved the correct skill set, you will be successful in playing that role. And if certain skills are missing, then success will be difficult. And if we try to apply the skill set of the family member role to play the professional role, then you may not be successful. The other vice versa also true. All the professional skills you develop in the university or on the job, you can't apply at home. And because the what is expected from you there are very different. Right. So how do we call a person from birth to death? Actually, the total lifespan, consider all lifespan. How do we call a person a successful person? I'm sure you want to be a successful person in life. Therefore, observe the others also. What are they seeking in playing all these roles? And in playing all the roles, what am I seeking from all this? Because playing these roles are not easy. You need to learn the skills and you need to apply the skills at the correct time, correct occasion. So why? What am I seeking out of doing all that? So the natural question is, what do I want? And this is considering the whole life, not as a student, not as a period where you are in the university as a student. Think of the whole life, you as a child, and you as a young person, you as an adult, mature person, old person. So keep thinking of all the stages of life that you have to go through now. Okay, then in simple words, what do people want by doing all this? So think of that and write your answer in the chat. Maybe with your index number also. Think of yourself, ask this question. Right, I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes. Just jot down one word or one sentence in the chat so that we can discuss about it. Okay, Tishani says they want to get a feeling of importance or self-esteem. Okay. Think of yourself as well. Happiness is another answer I received from the chat. Vinit says self-satisfaction. Aloka says happiness. And make myself and others happy. And life with freedom and happiness. Personal satisfaction, another answer. Danuka says to be happy with what I have. Well, quite good. You are capturing, I think, your whole life. With living without regrets, another answer. Osanda says personal satisfaction. And living in the current moment, interesting. Happy and peaceful life. Okay, thanks for all the feedback, which means that you have taken attention to yourself. To find the best way for me to contribute to the world. Kavi says leading a meaningful life. Tushara, personal satisfaction and happiness. Okay, this word satisfaction and happiness I see very much from many answers. Shashika, personal satisfaction again. Okay, calmness, another answer. Peaceful life. Living with personal satisfaction and happiness again. Okay, I think we can summarize all that. One says, Hasini says mental peace. Well, in summary, it looks like that this particular word appears very much, isn't it? Okay. People learn these skills and play all these roles, try to play all these roles with this objective. In summary, if we take everything into a single word, it could be happiness, or they want to be contented with the life. Your student role is going to be over soon. Maybe as a student in the undergraduate course, it may be over. Maybe you might become a student in the postgraduate courses later. And if you consider your day, how many times do we switch these roles? Maybe in the morning, the family member role, the daughter or the son. Maybe now, right now, the student role. And some other time of the day, you might be the citizen role. You might go to the market and go to the society. Don't do that very much these days because of the pandemic. Be careful with the citizen role. Of course, happiness seems to be a summary word. Everyone is seeking for that in their activities. So let's move forward. Now we know 4 domains are there, 4 roles are there. And you want to be a successful person. Do you want to be a successful person only when playing the professional role? Obviously not, isn't it? That role, of course, you have to be successful, but as a family member, as a father, mother, or child, you again want to be very successful in that role. We have come across, maybe you have come across people who are brilliant as professionals, and they have risen to the very top, but at home, they are a failure. They are failing and miserable. Sometimes you find the Nobel Prize winners committing suicide. Their individual role has been a disaster. Read about them, especially the mathematics Nobel Prize winners, how their life have gone. Read the autobiographies. You can see. I'm sure none of us here want to be very successful in one role and fail in another role, isn't it? So what we have to learn consciously from the beginning is to balance between these roles while balancing how to improve each role parallelly. Because if you want to become a very successful engineer and throw all your time and all your energy, efforts, everything into that, the 3 other roles you might not play very well, and there will be trouble. Therefore, finally, the happiness that you are seeking by climbing to the very top as a professional may not be there finally, because you might fail in the other roles. So what I'm trying to say is that from the undergraduate days, be aware of all 4 roles. Be aware of the skills required in each role and try to develop all 4 parallelly. Because failing in any one of them, failing in any one of these roles can cause a lot of issues in the life. So our plan should be that develop all 4 in parallel. have a determination. I must be successful at all 4 levels in order to call my life a successful life. Success in 1 or 2 roles by sacrificing the other roles is not a successful life finally, because you might find a lot of trouble coming due to unhappiness. So my advice is plan ahead to succeed in all 4 levels, not just 1 or 2, which means the correct awareness of all 4 is required. And what is the measure of success? Is it the amount of wealth a person has? Or the amount of love you receive? Or the amount of degrees? Or the GPA? Or what? How do you measure success of a person? Well, in the university, university might measure the success of a student by one or multiple measures. One could be GPA, but there are other measures also. In general, but as a person, which means all the roles that you play, how do you measure success? What is the index that you can use? Well, you can adapt happiness index. One index, possible index is this, where you keep assessing how happy am I, how contented am I by playing all these roles. So if you consider that as an axis, say vertical axis, happiness axis, where am I? So at the moment you may be somewhere like this. Of course, there will be ups and downs. Well, there will be these ups and downs. Even within a day, you might find that the happiness level varies. It goes up and down. But what I'm talking about is average value of the day, average happiness in that day, average happiness in the next day. Likewise, as the time goes by, as your life unfolds from, say, in your early 20s to 30s, then age of 40s, 50s, likewise, have a plan that this index, happiness index, the average happiness should go up. Average happiness should go up. Has it happened at the moment now that you have spent fair amount of time in your life? Consider your childhood from those days to nowadays. Today, has the average happiness of your mind increased? Or has it remained the same? Or has it decreased? So this is one way to evaluate. I strongly suggest you use happiness index to evaluate your success, which means happiness index will go up only if you can play all 4 roles very well. If you sacrifice one role for the success of the other, happiness index is not going to increase as you expect as the life goes by. Well, from where can we find happiness is the other question now, for which there are 2 approaches. 2 approaches. Now that we have discussed the 4 roles, let us put that into a diagram like this. Here, assume that you are at this very center here as the individual, personal or individual level. Then surrounded by the family members, surrounded by professionals, and the society. So the span is different in each role, isn't it? Now, one approach for increasing the happiness index in the life is, you can expect your family members to make you happy. Your father, your mother, or your loved ones, they are the ones you can think, you may think like this, they are the ones who should make you happy. Or you can go beyond and say, when you go to work, all the professionals there, they must make me happy. Or in general, the society level, you can expect the society you live should make you happy, which means the government should make you happy. If something goes wrong there, you blame the government otherwise. Okay? Or the social memberships, various groups are there, they should make you happy. Right? That's why people join different societies. And this method of expecting happiness from others is called outside-in approach to happiness. Expecting others to make me happy. First, the family members, you think their role, their responsibility is to make you happy. That's why they are family members. So likewise, one can argue, maybe silently you may be expecting others to make you happy, isn't it? Explore your own mind and see whether your expectations are like this outside-in approach. Well, it's okay if you adapt that, because from time to time other members may have energy, capability, and time to make you happy, but not all the time, isn't it? Not all the time. They may be busy with the other work, and at those times they may not have time to give attention to you. What I'm trying to say is that if this is the way we expect happiness, sooner or later, you will be in trouble. The method is bound to fail. Therefore, we have to see, is there an alternative approach for happiness? In fact, there is, which is exact opposite of this, where you use your mind, your thought process at the individual level, improve the individual role, and there are techniques where you can generate inner happiness. And if you are happy by inside or happy within, of course, you can allow it to overflow to the family members. And you can allow it to overflow to the peers in the professional level. You can allow it to overflow to the society in general. Of course, that is if you can generate inner happiness in abundance. So you have more than enough for you, and then you can allow it to go to the others, extend it towards the other layers. Let's call it inside out approach. And will it fail? It will not. If you develop proper techniques, proper thought process engineering, this is a fail-safe mechanism for happiness. Inside out approach, and that's what these meditation techniques can give us. So it's up to you to choose inside out or outside in approach for happiness, but I recommend you choose this inside out. So meditation is in general engineering of our thought process in order to make the mind happy, peaceful, beautiful, and all those words you wrote in the chat as expectations of life can be generated through these meditation techniques. By the way, mind is kind of a state machine, isn't it? The mental state changes with time from one state to another when different stimuli comes from the outside, through your ear, through your eyes, ears, all the senses. When the stimuli comes in, the mental state will jump to a different state. So it's kind of a state machine. Of course, it's a very powerful machine, you know. And a developed mind you can use as a tool to understand various processes in the nature. Right? For example, all the engineering processes, you are now training your mind to understand all the engineering processes. There are some others who are training their mind to understand all the biological processes. Likewise, mind is a wonderful tool which can be trained to understand very complicated different processes in the nature. Some process might be natural, some may be man-made, like engineering, but I'm trying to say mind can understand very complicated processes. Then if it can do that, we call it a developed mind, isn't it? But a fully developed mind or well-developed mind should be capable of understanding its own process, which is the most complicated one of all the natural processes. You can't call a mind fully developed unless the mind understands and comprehends its own thought process. However much you understand other external processes, the mind cannot be called fully developed till it understand and comprehend and it can engineer its own thought process. So of course you have a very powerful mind. That's why you are here in ENTC. And what I'm trying to say is that it's not well developed, maybe not enough yet. The full development comes if you can apply that ability to understand its own process, own mental processes. So a working definition for meditation before our break. How do we define this word? There are many definitions. For our purpose here in the course, let me give you a working definition for this purpose. We can define it as a particular way of thinking because it's a thought process that we are going to change. If that thought process promote and produce inner peace, inner happiness, and of course leading to good deeds, then we can call it meditation. A particular way of thinking that causes, promotes, and produces inner peace, happiness, and good deeds, good actions towards ending all the sufferings. If that kind of a way of thinking can be found, then we call it meditation. And there are various subcategories under this. We'll have a short break, and after that we will move on to discuss what are the subcategories in this definition or in the meditations. Okay, have a short break, say 10 minutes, and we will meet again. You can use the other link to join.